gun to my head, I think The Call of the Wild is the great American novel. Here it comes, it's me, Kieran. I have been thinking a lot, and I also am now thinking that I'm wearing a Mexican author while talking about this. Someone's going to get annoyed, that's going to make me really happy. What is the American novel? When we talk about the American novel, what exactly are we envisioning? While in the grand schemes of everything, identifying what the great American novel is somewhat moot. It is something you cannot say that captivates readers. Is it something like Moby Dick? Is it something more modern, such as Blood Meridian, Beloved, In the Distance? Are any of the recent or older Pulitzer Prize winners considered to be that of the great American novel? And for me, the great American novel has to do something which is outside of time and almost transgresses all boundaries of America. It has to do something that every American and also every non-American can identify as something, if not metaphorically American, like spiritually American. A great American novel, to me, the more that I read American novels, has to do something that kind of shackles itself free from being pigeonholed to a specific. It can't be anything that Jonathan Franzen is talking about, because he's on about a specific era. It can't be Blood Meridian, because it's talking about a specific time. The more I think about it, this is a slither, and I don't think a revisionist understanding of America can be that of the great American novel. There should be nothing to revise. And then I went to the cinema to watch Wicked, and I thought The Wizard of Oz could be, by Baum, could be the great American novel, because it throws everything out of the box. This is a homespun American fairy tale that at one time was not really beloved, but has turned into a story that has captivated, that it has brought on interpretation, revision, but it is somewhat maintained as this great story, not only as a feat of American ingenuity, but also in terms of American optimism. Baum really satirizes like the powers at play in a way that is highly enticing, but it is that of a kid's book. It is something that kids and adults can understand, and the more, the wiser, the more ignorant we become, maybe. And therefore, with the passage of time and with each generation, we are bringing new understanding and new experiences to that of The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, I think, is probably the great American novel. And this really, started to rack my brain. It really started to, gnaw its way in to a point where I thought, could anything else be the great American novel? And there, lo and behold, in a Waterstones, I saw Jack London's The Call of the Wild. Now, just to say, yes, this is the kids' edition, because you save £2. You save £2. You could buy a fancy cover like this. £2 you save if you buy... I'll take the £2, mate. I'll take the £2 discount. What can I say? You can also buy a second hand for a lot cheaper. The Call of the Wild is the story of Buck, a dog who has life pretty good. Yes, The Call of the Wild is the story about a dog. Virginia Woolf, eat your heart out. This is the story of Buck, a domesticated dog who's thrown into the wild and finds himself not at home with another stranger by the end, but finds himself a home within the legend of what Buck is. Call of the Wild is such a huge influence that Herman Diaz's In the Distance seems to pale in comparison. And I say that because Hawken within In the Distance turns into a legend. He turns into a myth, something that he is greater than. And that is what happens to Buck. This idea of this dog through sheer will, determination, survival, and at some point determined optimism is to turn the tide. He is to turn the tide on everything that life throws against him. And similar to these great American novels that traverse all of America, Buck's story brings him across America, brings him to the plains, to the slopes, to the snow, to the heat, to everything that is thrown at Buck's way. Because of the life that he previously lived, he has to overcome. This is a story that triumphs the victor. It triumphs the underdog. Would you believe it? Okay, we have these vague themes that can subtly map onto the majority of America. But what's great about this is that there's no real human element. The humans interact with Buck to position him through the story, but it is Buck himself. He is not confined to the civics, to the ethics, to the races, to the culture. He is just an American dog. Buck unshackles, or maybe he is unleashed into the wild. He is everything that the American spirit wants. He is not about the people. He is not about the race. He's not about the culture. He's not about the norms. He's a dog. He's a dog. He doesn't need to do any of that. All he needs to do is push on through. And the American identity is that. I don't care what people say about American. I kind of love American. They are the most optimistic. I know for what I'm about to say next. People in the comments section are going to go, but what about the current American system? It doesn't matter. The Americans are a proud, optimistic bunch who are there to progress. The Americans do what the Americans do. And you know what? I have Oregonian family. No one can do like the Americans. The Americans do it. And Buck does it against all odds. This isn't like a love letter to America. I don't think that's what Jack London wanted to do. I think he wanted to write a really enticing adventure story across America. And he does that. He does that with glee. I think for a novel that's 120 years old, some of it does come across a little bit pithy or a little bit twee, but nevertheless, it's enticing. London draws the reader in, not so that we understand what Buck is doing, but so we're there to support what Buck is doing. We're there when Buck is at his worst, and we're there when Buck is at his best. And all the time, we're there rooting for Buck. We want to see him succeed. We want to see Buck change the tide to the point where he's not that he's deified. He's not deified. He becomes unbound. He becomes unlimited. He becomes something greater than the sum of his entire journey. Buck's name by the end is one for perseverance. It's one for survival, but it's one of optimism. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. There is some, I'm really cautiously going into White Fang, which London said is the call of the wild in reverse. It's about an undomesticated wolf becoming domesticated. And I'm very curious to how he does that. Does he pull it off? Why would you want to do that? I'm not entirely sure. Why would you want to tell the reverse? And what are the implications and what are the nuances of wanting to do that in a story? What could the messaging be? I'm not entirely sure. But if it's not The Wizard of Oz, I think, gun to my head, I think The Call of the Wild is the great American novel.